All right. So let's move on to. We talked about something happy. Now we need to talk about something more closer to your vest and something a little more depressing. July 23rd, news broke from TubeFilter and Digiday. Actually, Digiday originally reported it. TubeFilter spreaded it throughout the interwebs. Apparently, HQ Trivia is struggling to the fact that they actually just turned down new funding from Lightspeed Venture Partners, who originally gave them an injection, I think around this time last year or a couple of
I'm
years
not
ago,
sure. I'm
February
not sure who the
2018.
original funder was. I'll say that.
Huh?
Either way, I'm not sure who the original funder was. I know that they had gone to venture capitalists to get them a lot of money. Um, and I'm not quite sure why this was turned down. I know it was being stubborn because I think it meant less creative control for Russ ultimately, which is certainly an interesting. That's certainly an interesting parallel to the politics internally that go on in HQ for sure.
Right, because Russ is dead man walking. He's not going to be around much longer. If I
Probably.
was Russ, then I'd be like, get me out of here.
Well, I
Um,
mean, he likes control. I mean, and I'm not judging him for that. He just likes to be in control of things.
mhm.
But I mean, it's certainly interesting in the respect that if you can believe rumors, the HU fan source on Twitter, which has gotten things right before, you can take it or you can leave this, is that eventually they're going to have season five. They're doing away with the jackpot format. God, I hope this is wrong because that's. I mean, it's hard to make money, but it does provide big money if you do well enough.
Mhm.
And that Russ is going to be out there going to have questions that have multiple correct answers. So, for instance, and this is the one I thought of, which of the following are vowels? A, C, and E, and obviously A and E are both vowels. So, and then it's going to be 12 question games again. And again, I really hope not. I mean, I really like this format. It's hard, it really is, but assuming they pay, that's granted, that's a big if these days. You can get very handsomely rewarded in a short amount of time every single night if you do well enough.
Right. I think that's kind of why they're going back to the 12 question format
Well, how
because
so?
that means, well, it also depends on the jackpot. If they're going back to a modest jackpot, like say $1,000
Well, if
a
they're doing
game,
that, well, that'd be a big drop compared to what they're doing because usually an average night is still under $5,000 a night with them. Actually, granted, there are a few that are above it, but I honestly think that's the exception because the average game I would say these days since jackpot, not including the 100,000 they didn't pay out any of it currently.
yeah,
Um, but including the 60,000 that was won, the thought is that it's probably a little bit over 5,000 a game since they started because of that skew data. But if we treat that, even with that, it's probably only closer to 6,000, and most nights it's not close to that. They've had nights where it's been under four. Most nights it's around that 4,500, 4,600 sweet spot range. So right now they're actually keeping a decent budget with what they're doing, and it's remarkable action. Actually, really.
if we're going back to the 12 question format, then they got to have something like $2,500 to $3,000 just for a normal game. We'll just say a normal game, it's $3,000.
I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that desperate yet, and even then, that'd be a mess. Because you look at what HQ Words offers a game, 2,000 a game. HQ Sports offers 1,000. Those games are lucky if you get 50 cents out of them. I don't think people would have the appeal to that. I think you'd have to make it a bigger pot than that.
Maybe 5,000 a game.
Yeah, I really think their budget is still the standard 5,000 a game it was before they switched to this format.
Okay, so we'll just say 5,000. They go back to 5,000 a game because that could get their jackpots back under control, where they could actually pay them out and not hand wring for the next 90 or so days.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like they're absolute in not paying them out because they don't have the money for them. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think this situation because they and I don't understand why people are turned off by it, but the fact is they are. They've scared off so many people with this format, and the numbers are not going to really change that. Trying something old to bring in back people is really not going to make that much of a difference at this point. We've had the point where it's been past exponential decay, and there really isn't much of a road of recovery at this point. And they're still doing well with the numbers, even if a lot of them are bots, because any other app is going to be lucky to get 20,000, and HU always gets like 220,000 at this point per show. I mean, I just hope that's not true because I really don't want to settle for what's going to be lucky with such a bot heavy population to be $5. Maybe that.
Right.
That's why I'm not inclined to believe it. I could see maybe what they did originally with the jackpot format, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't stick with this, although I understand why they didn't, actually. But they should have stuck with what was really going to be what started as a $15,000 jackpot. And that didn't seem like it would break the bank for them. But they figured if they start adding thousands and thousands to this, because every week or so, it adds about 5,000 to the jackpot, which is now at about 235,000. But that means they're actually saving enough money, even if they can offer. I think eventually you're going to have to give it away at some point because you're still going to have that egg on your face if you wind up having this massive jackpot that doesn't wind up being given away. I mean, you can't just reduce it down to 5,000 without there not being an aftershock to the base that still plays this format, because there is obviously a group, and a large group at that, beyond the bots, that obviously enjoys this format or they wouldn't be playing it.
Right. And what a problem is that they're having is cash influx. I know what they're trying to do with the microtransactions are going to be starting, I think, August or September when they implement.
Maybe. I'm waiting for the subscriptions. I'm looking forward to those because I think there's a short-term game that can be played from them.
Right.
But I mean, I would honestly pay for jackpot games. And again, I mean, I'm not someone who's going to bail at 5 cents or $3.
Maybe at $50.
Personally, not at $50. It has to be three figures for me to even consider it.
Okay.
But that's me personally as an individual. For a lot of people, it is though, because we see a lot of offers past question 18 that are, whether they're bots or not, but it's just the trend of the behavior. Bots or users or whoever, like the vast majority of people will take around a $20 offer when that's on the table. And
True.
for me, that's always an instant slam on the no.
Mm-hmm. Now, ever since it's found, now Digiday also reports that ever since its founding, they've gotten 15 million in ad revenues. That's including 10 million in ad revenues, 5 million from in-app purchases. But even with that, you're not making a profit. Guess how much, according to Digiday, the company spends roughly per month to put on the quiz shows? Per month.
Yeah. I mean, I think they make. I think they make enough to justify being a little bit looser on their purse strings, honestly. Not much, but I think they have more room than they're giving themselves credit for. Which is remarkable. Granted, I don't claim to know the talent salaries or the staff salary, which is, I mean, they said they were shrinking staff size, but my response to that is unfortunate it was for the individuals that lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you really need to run an app like this? Like, and again, maybe you do need more, but that was my initial thought that maybe you really don't need that many. If you have an excess amount of people, strictly speaking, in terms of a business and not people, maybe that's not a bad thing. And I mean,
Right.
that again, I feel bad for the individuals. I mean, you had Gallo who walked out the door the other day, their marketing director.
Oh.
But I mean, again, I mean, Nick Gallo did a great job with the show. That was a big loss for them. I do wonder what he had done for. I mean, I know he did a really good job, but I just wonder what specifically he had done. And again, he is a big loss. Matt Richards was a big fan of him. Everyone who knew him liked him. He was very well respected behind the scenes.
I guess he probably couldn't deal with Yusupov, who has seemed to rub everybody the wrong way. I think they will rebound, but it's got to be post Russ.
How do you
Who?
rebound the show? I mean, that's what I'm wondering.
How do you rebound the show?
Y- Yeah, how do you rebound the show?
Um,
Especially with all the bots that are in there these days. Like,
it's easy. All you might lose the numbers, which you've said in previous shows that numbers should be are fine, and the higher ups don't care. But I would do like 2-tier logins. Like if you're on a phone, like you also log in with your phone number.
well, yeah, that's what you do now, and then they give you a verification code. The thing that they probably could do, and this is what Pop Culture Live, another app that has died, did, is that no matter what you did, you have to fill out a W-9 for it. And because of that, bots are want to take amounts that are under 600 because that way they can't be really tracked like that.
Yep.
So there's some federal crime involved in this too. Those people are probably cheating on their income tax. But I mean, why not make that the case for every time someone tries to cash out an initial amount? I mean, it really wouldn't be that big of a bother, and it would remove bots.
Mm-hmm.
I think the downside for HQ is, and maybe they don't want to admit this, is that their actual numbers are not that great. But I mean,
Probably
do
not.
you really want to be an accomplice to what's probably going to result in tax fraud from probably a good number of people? Like, there's a dark angle to that in the legal that I don't think people have talked about too much yet. Certainly not in my circles. I know
Right. Well, that's our HQ news. We will have more later on.
that. Yep, and I will try to keep on winning. It's hard. It's harder these days in all the apps because rip confetti.
Yep.
But there's still. Let's see. Right now on my phone, I have 12 different apps that I can play and I make money from. So.
There you go.